Howard gets it in, but it's knocked away by Lexie Hull. Hull with the steal. And the Indiana Fever, beset by major injuries all year long, are on the doorstep of making the semifinals.
The Indiana Fever were counted out, 6 players sidelined, officiating controversies haunting them, and history pressing down like a weight. But in Game 3 against the Atlanta Dream, they stepped into the fire with no margin for error. And when Lexie Hull ripped the ball away in that opening play, it wasn't just a steal, it was a statement. This was win or go home. The Fever weren't just playing basketball. They were fighting to prove they still belonged on the biggest stage.
We've just been through so much this season, giving ourselves another chance in Game 3. Emotions are high.
This is a group that's confidence has really never wavered. This group has continued to show their heart, their character, night in and night out.
I think we all piggyback off each other within our group and our organization.
We've been in every kind of situation you can imagine, and we've been able to find ways to put ourselves in position to win, and this will be no different.
Somebody has to lose and somebody has to win.
Think about this for a second. The Fever haven't made the semifinals since 2015. Nearly 10 long years of waiting, losing, rebuilding, and hoping. The last time they advanced this far, Tamika Catchings was still the heartbeat of the team. Stephanie White was on the sidelines coaching. And Natasha Howard? She was just starting her career. Almost a decade later, Indiana finally had their shot at rewriting history. This wasn't just a playoff game. It was a turning point.
You talked about the desperation before Game 2 on Tuesday. Just how does that carry over into tonight?
Well, I think anytime that you're a win or go home situation, there's desperation. And so it has to carry over. You know, we're in the same situation. Our back is against the wall. We got to come out and we've got to play with that sense of urgency. We've got to play with that hunger. We've got to value every single possession and every single opportunity.
What made this game so unbelievable was the roster itself. Caitlin Clark?
Out.
Sophie Cunningham?
Out.
Sydney Colson?
Out.
That's firepower and leadership gone in an instant. Most teams crumble under that kind of weight. But Indiana? They leaned into the pressure. A team with their back to the wall, running on pure chemistry, grit, and belief. And here's the crazy part. That vacuum of expectation actually became their advantage. With no one betting on them, they had nothing to lose.
Now, this one on Lexie Hull got me riled up because this was early on in the game, and this was probably the best defense that Lexie could have played. If you watch this play here, Rhyne Howard is going down, Lexie Hull's guarding her, Rhyne goes behind her back. Lexie doesn't touch her because she's backpedaling the whole time. She has her hands straight up. Like, this is really good defense that Lexie played here.
Let's talk Lexie Hull. Early in the game, she gets whistled for a fall on Rhyne Howard. But watch the tape closely. That was textbook defense, hands straight up, backpedaling, no contact. A call that could have crushed momentum right there. But Lexie? She shook it off and came back harder. Later, she delivers one of the big...
Indiana Fever are heading to the semifinals.
Driving to the foul line in the paint, lays it in. Sims crossover left to right, gets into the paint, layup, good.
Inside, Boston.
Kelsey Mitchell, the pulse, the fire, the anchor of Indiana's offense. From the opening tip, Atlanta knew she was the target. They crowded her lanes, blitzed her on screens, threw bodies in her path. And still, she poured in 24 points, 19 of them before halftime. Every bucket she scored was a dagger into Atlanta's game plan. But Mitchell wasn't just scoring. She was creating. Assists, blocks, little momentum plays that don't always show up on the stat sheet. She flat out refused to let her team fold.
To Jones, throws it up.
No good! Game over! And the Fever are moving on!
And then there's Aliyah Boston. Rookie, maybe on paper. But the way she owned the paint in Game 3 was veteran-level dominance. Matched up against Bree Jones, Boston absorbed hit after hit in the post, sealed her position, and delivered. She finished with 14 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists, but those numbers don't tell the full story. Every rebound was contested. Every assist was clutch. And when the Fever needed the lead late, Boston delivered the bucket that flipped.
Just picked up her second foul, so Hillman and Gray each with 2. Mitchell over the Boston screen.
And that was tough, her hands. But going back to that ball screen here, little movement in the first part of that screen by Aliyah Boston.
Mitchell, man,
she is so good.
Natasha Howard may not always dominate the highlight reels, but her impact? Unmistakable. Loose balls, second chances, relentless hustle. Plays that don't always trend but absolutely win games. Against Atlanta, she was everywhere, extending possessions, diving into traffic, slashing inside. For a team missing so many stars, Howard's grit was priceless. She turned broken plays into opportunities and kept Indiana's energy alive when it mattered most. That's the veteran presence every underdog story needs.
attacking from the outside and now the inside. And Mitchell's been quiet for a while, not anymore. Mitchell over to Boston. Again, the shot clock winding down. Mitchell, tough shot off the bounce to get around Jones.
2 steps behind the three-point line and the dribble handoff for Kelsey Mitchell.
Odyssey Sims. Talk about stepping into the storm like you've been there all season. Except she hadn't. But in Game 3, you'd never know it. Sims was fearless, driving straight at defenders, finishing through contact, and dropping dimes when the defense collapsed. 16 points, 8 assists, pure poise in...
Lucia just 4 of 16 from the floor in Game 2. That's terrific call into Boston.
Beautiful read.
Enemy territory. Indiana needed someone to bring composure, someone to set the tone in hostile territory. And Sims brought exactly that. Aggression,
Control.
leadership, all in one package.
For Atlanta has not been good. 40%. Maybe a little higher than that, 45.
Indiana electing not to call a timeout. Boston almost gave it away. Into Boston for the lead. She hits it. Indiana goes up.
Boston gets it. Mitchell is denied, but then Jordan Canada falls. Bree Jones almost gets it, but that's a second defender that's gone down. And Bree Jones, that Aliyah Boston has to really body up with Bree Jones in that situation.
Tasha Howard slashing in. Sims got around the Ryan Howard reach to find Natasha Howard.
The court, Odyssey Sims has 7 points, 3 assists. She's looking to attack you.
This wasn't just basketball. This was survival. 6 key players down, Caitlin Clark out, and yet the Fever still refused to fold. Think about that. Most teams crumble under one major injury, but Indiana walked into enemy territory with half a roster and still punched their ticket to the semifinals. That's not luck, that's resilience. And here's the real takeaway. If this group can fight through all that chaos,